Hey, this is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. Stories we are covering today. Ohio, that's one story. Pastor Perv pastor. I don't know what's the best way to put you. The perv instead of the pastor, or the pastor in front of the perv. I'll let you decide, chat. I'll let you decide, viewers, observers, lurkers. Flint, Michigan, and marijuana. A police station is being turned into something, a place to grow marijuana for a business. That's exciting, but there's a twist. So there's a twist to the twist. The fact that there's an old police station being turned into a dispensary, that's a twist unto itself. But there's another twist on that. Not really a positive twist either, but let me continue. And of course, Donald J. Trump and a grand jury, and the grand jury in New York State. And we're going to talk about unemployment numbers because that's pretty positive news for Joe Biden and the Democrats as we head towards the midterm elections. Everybody, this is the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. I already said that, but I like it so much I just said it again. Let's do something funny.
Uh-huh. Okay, right. I see. Yeah, I get that. That's really tough. You're right.
All right, maybe not as much funny as it is cat related. I still like it. I hope everyone's doing well. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Tobin Templeman, John Hudson, Brainbug, Willie Ignorant. Everyone's doing well. I'm doing okay. I have to tell you, busy day for Andy. Getting some more hours at work, getting more hours at the job that pays me. This pays me some money, of course. I do this out of love. This is a passion project, of course. But the job that pays me a little bit of money, not a lot of money, but pays me a little bit of money, they're adding on to my hours, so that's good. The girlfriend, I laugh. Well, you laughed. That's good. All right. It's always interesting having conversations with cats. And Lee, I didn't laugh. Well, that's the thing about, good morning, Vesta. That's the thing about art, right? And comedy is a type of art, is that not everyone is going to like the same art. There was a Rothko exhibit over at the Museum of Fine Arts a few years ago at this point, to tell you the truth. And I'd never seen a Rothko painting in person. I've only seen pictures of them. But once, I believe you're only supposed to stand 6 inches away from the painting to appreciate it. And once I stood that 6 inches or maybe a foot away from the painting, I got a far deeper appreciation of the art. But that's just me. That was just my little story, a small vignette about appreciating art. And, everyone is different. It's a subjective thing, isn't it? It isn't math. It isn't science. It's art. All right. So let's, I have announcements. What do I have for announcements today? I can only do 45 minutes in the after party after show today. That's starting at 10 o'clock. So because I have to go to work. So from 10 o'clock to 10:45 is the after party for atheists, for progressives. If you want to stop in and chat, we can talk about anything you want to talk about, to tell you the truth. That's fine. And then we are also doing, not just me, but Neil the 604 Atheist, Seamus from the Free Thought Profit podcast. We're sitting down and doing another episode of Atheists Drinking Out Loud this Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern. That's Atheists Drinking Out Loud. We just talk about anything while we're drinking and, get some, Neil and Seamus, really smart guys, really funny guys. I just try to keep up. We all have a good time. All right, so what are we doing? We're going to do some memes. I guess we're going to do some memes before we get into the news stories proper. Let's check out what we got here. Oh, more feline-related stuff, everyone. He's an indoor cat. I'm an indoor people, too, by the way. If that's an indoor cat, I am an indoor people. Does that cat want to go hiking? Does that cat want to go rollerblading? That cat doesn't want to do any of those things. It just wants to be inside. And I appreciate that mentality. Just want to be inside, have some treats, got my phone, got my laptop, and of course the big screen blaring. So maybe I would be an indoor cat if I was going to be a cat. All right, next meme. Here we go, right back to Monty Python. Every little thing she does is magic. Burn her because she's a witch. And no set of 3 memes would be complete without something about our former president, Citizen Trump. Maybe soon Prisoner Trump. Who knows? But here's a little something special for you. What's the difference between Jim Jones, the cult leader that killed scores of people with the Kool-Aid, the poison Kool-Aid, and Donald Trump? What's the difference between those two? Donald Trump would charge you for the Kool-Aid. Oh, it's so true and horrible. Yeah, it is. There is something true in that particular meme, that Trump would charge you for the Kool-Aid, for the poison Kool-Aid. All right, so what's the first story? I'm about to crush some beans, Tobin Templeman. Very positive. I have my second cup of beans right here. Second cup of beans. All right, so what's the first story? I'm glad you asked. It's about Ohio, and Ohio announces the winner of its first vaccination lottery. I believe it's called Vax-A-Millions, right? We've been covering this story in Ohio, as well as New York and Maryland. They are doing lotteries for people who just got vaccinated, to incentivize good behavior, to incentivize people actually getting out vaccination. So the first winners in Ohio just came out. Let's take a look. The U.S. state of Ohio has announced the winners of its first lottery draw for COVID-19 vaccine recipients. Abigail Bugensky from a Cincinnati suburb has scooped the Midwestern state's first 1 million, and that's 700,000 pounds for those of you who aren't aware of the pound sign there. This is from the BBC, right? Vax-A-Million prize. That's the name of the lottery. The Vax-A-Million. A teenager, Joseph Costello of the Dayton area, won the first college scholarship, and that's a free ride for a state school, I believe. Won the first state college scholarship offered under the same incentive scheme or plan. The initiative was launched this month to boost flagging take-up of shots. 4 more 1 million and college scholarship winners will be announced each Wednesday for the next 4 weeks under the program. We talked about this, was it yesterday or was it the day before, about the success the program is having right now? The idea that you're giving people a lottery ticket for all intents and purposes for getting a vaccination shot. But let's just go through the numbers one more time. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican, launched the special lottery on the 12th of May and credits it with reinvigorating rollout of the jabs. His office said in a statement, from May 14th to May 19th, as compared to May 7th through May 12th, vaccinations in Ohio increased 94% amongst those 16 to 17-year-olds, 46% among 18 to 19-year-olds, and 55% among those 20 to 49-year-olds. So we all know about numbers. And if you don't know how to read numbers, or if you don't have a background of the story, then you can easily be led astray. The thing is that vaccinations for younger people just rolled out. So those numbers were going to be big anyway. The real story is about this last group of people and the bump between 20 and 49 years old. That's a significant bump, going up 55%. That's significant. While the Biden administration has praised the initiative, not everyone in the state approves. Ohio's State House's top Democratic legislator, Amelia Strong Sykes, called it a grave misuse of money that could be going to respond to this ongoing crisis. Well, it's actually money being spent to deal with the ongoing crisis. Was that just her job? Is that just her job just to be contrary to whatever the Republican does in office? And don't get me wrong, I dislike Republicans in general, and especially the Republican Party, since it's a fascist party. But a broken clock is right twice a day. And I would still say, if a Republican says the correct time, I'll say that, yes, that's a correct time. That's just me, everyone. Let's see. Checking out the chat. John Hudson says, my American bulldog is so cat, ignores people and wants to stay inside. Yes. Interesting blazing. Debating contingency and timelessness. Interesting. One does have to see a Rothko in person to appreciate it. Pictures will not give you a good impression of a picture of Rothko. Just looks like a black square, basically. Right, with a red background. But when you get in front of it, there are many layers to the paint, and that's what's remarkable about it. It is football fan politics. Well said, Mighty Mouse. Yeah, maybe that's her job. The Democrat in the state legislature is just to disagree with whatever the Republican is doing, even when it's clearly doing some good, like the Ohio Vax-A-Millions lottery plan that they're doing. Oh, good to see you, B. Good to see you. All right, so we're just going to blast through these interesting. Perv pastor or pastor perv. I don't know. This is from the Friendly Atheist. You decide. West Virginia pastor charged with spying on men with his phone in the church bathroom. Okay, before we get into it, at least it's men. It's not like it's the boys' room. I don't know if there's a boys' room in the church, but there you go. Here we go. A West Virginia preacher, 59-year-old William Page, has been charged with 2 misdemeanor counts of invasion of privacy after members of the National Church of God noticed a phone videotaping them in the bathroom. National Church of God just sounds like a fascist organization, doesn't it? National Church of God. I don't think they really are big believers in the church-state wall separation there. Just a guess on my part. According to local law enforcement, on April 28th, members of the church, Morgantown, reported to deputies with the Monongalia County Sheriff's Department that a smartphone had been placed upon a ledge above a urinal, according to a criminal complaint. On the phone, deputies found videos of 2 males using the restroom, as well as several short videos of Page setting up the device, according to the complaint. Okay, so maybe we shouldn't call him a perv pastor or pastor perv. Maybe we should just call him an idiot. A criminal idiot. The cell phone. So I'm going to the bath. Let's say I'm in the urinal. I'm at the urinal going to the bathroom. I just have to look up and I see this phone looking down on me. And then I call the cops, and the cops discover the fact that there are videos of the minister actually committing the crime. There's actually videos of the minister committing the crime of putting the cell phone in place. Who does that? I'll tell you something, chat. Microphone. I'm going to talk to my microphone. I'll tell you something, microphone. Have people always been this stupid? And cameras are just now present to document it? Or do cameras make people dumber? Do like cell phone cameras, do they just make people dumber? I don't know. I'm going to bring microphone here up so you can all see me talking to the microphone, because it's lonely here. I'm doing the show alone. I know you're here in chat, but sometimes I feel it gets so frustrated I have to talk to the microphone, everyone. All right, the story continues. So Page isn't just criminally predatory, he's not even good at using his spying equipment. This isn't the first time a pastor has faced charges for doing something like this, which makes me wonder if the creeps are getting ideas from each other. Page gave himself up on Friday and was later released on a $15,000 bond. He faces up to a year in jail and or a $5,000 fine. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have thought, microphone, that a pastor would be filming other dudes going to the bathroom, right? It's almost as if evangelical Christianity, it either attracts predators, sexual predators to it, or it somehow, yeah, maybe it just does that. Maybe it just, it's something appealing to be in power if you're a predator and you have a flock with sheep. Hey, Sammy. Sammy, I have to tell you something. There's a story from the BBC. I was going to show a video about the mouse infestation, and it was just so horrible. It was a 5-minute video of just mice screaming all over the place. They weren't screaming, but they were just. And I said, I don't think I could show that. I don't think I could show that. There's nothing new information. We've been covering the story anyway. Won't he have to register as a sex offender too? Good question, Blazing. I don't know what the rules are in West Virginia. I would hope he would be. I don't know what the levels are. I know there's level 1, level 2, level 3, but it would be swell if he was a level 3 sex offender, right? But I think in level 3, there has to be other things involved. But it would be nice if he had to be a registered sex offender. Oh, here we go. Vesta's voting here. People have always been that dumb. It's just now that we have video evidence. Interesting. One of my, and I'm gonna get real here, everyone. I'm just gonna get real here, in that I had never thought, and I've never sent a dick pic to anyone, a dick pic of my own, a dick pic of anyone else's, because that there are some people out there, some dudes who don't feel confident about sending the woman of their dreams a picture of their own penis, so they get a stunt penis, right? They get a stunt penis from somewhere online. But I've never sent a dick pic. There was only one person who wanted a dick pic of mine, and I sent him a picture of Richard Nixon. True story, everyone. True story. I had never thought about sending or showing a person I know a picture of my penis. But I will tell you this. I have been tempted, at least on one occasion. And I said to myself, Andy, that's the most stupid thing you've ever done. Why would you do that? Why would you even think of it? It's like, I don't know. I don't know, microphone. I have stupid ideas sometimes. So I think cell phones may actually be like fuel to our crazy fire, right? It's like, yeah, I think it just might increase the chances of doing something really stupid. Just my thought. My guess is that he is the poster child for dumb. I'm assuming that's the per pastor we're talking about as against to me. Morning bug, yes. Why would you set up? Why would you do that? Why would you set up a device to show, and then take a video of it too? Oh man. Simply Secular Dave, how you doing? All right, am I caught up to everyone? Oh, I didn't get a picture of Blazing. I didn't have to get a picture of his dick. You see, Richard Nixon is a dick. You could just shoot someone a picture of his face and say, that's a dick, and they would recognize it. This is true, John Hudson. This is true. All right. Oh, here it is, Mighty Mouse. Framing this far better than I did. Does religion attract creeps, or does religion turn them into creeps? Is there some kind of peer-reviewed research? Is there some kind of study that we can that explores this issue? I don't know if there is or not. I don't know. All right. So what's our next story? We're going through things really fast, to tell you the truth. It seemed to be a slow news day. Once again, I didn't want to do filler with 5 minutes of mice running around around Australia. Here we go. What do we got? Flint's old police academy sold for marijuana grow facility despite objections. All right. So it's the police academy. It was sold for a grow, to grow marijuana. Now we can all appreciate the fact that an old police academy was sold as a facility, for pot, right? That is fantastic. That is just the world we're living in now. The marijuana business is doing very well, right? I think it's Colorado getting $30 million a month, from its revenues. For the state is from its taxes on marijuana. That's $30 million a month. Microphone, $30 million a month. That's pretty crazy. And so, as the marijuana business is booming, this is just natural. Facilities are just buying up old buildings. And this one just happens to be in Flint, Michigan, and it just happens to be a police station. Let's check out the story. Flint, Michigan. The city has agreed to sell its shuttered Flint Police Training Academy for $500,000 to grow a company that plans to convert it into a commercial marijuana grow facility. A divided Flint City Council approved the sale of 3420 St. John Street in a 5-4 vote Monday, May 25th, despite protests of the property, which is zoned to allow a grow operation, wasn't properly advertised for sale, a claim the city's Department of Planning and Development denied. Once again, a positive story, but there's a twist, and we're going to get to the twist. There's absolutely fair and open bidding, and $500,000 can do a lot for our city's general fund, Council Kate Fields said. Department of Planning and Development officials have said that they were approached by Evergrow to buy the 4.4-acre parcel, listed the property for sale for 7 days, and received 2 bids, $500,000 from Evergrow and $20,000 from another group represented by Flint attorney Brenda Williams. All right, so you would think $20,000 versus $500,000. It's clear where the property should go, right? Maybe, maybe not. If the sale of property is completed, Evergrow will need to get a state license to grow marijuana, Flint Planning Commission approval for the site plan, and must have its plans approved for the city. It would also be required to file all the needed permits, pay fees, pass inspections, and receive a certificate of occupancy, city official said. Franco Saluku, the managing partner for Evergrow, has said he's interested in starting construction at the property as soon as possible and intends the overwhelming majority of 15 to 20 employees to be hired from Flint. Very positive. And what could the twist be? Could it be race? Could it be race? It's race because it's the United States of America. And of course it's race. Michigan, like other states, has struggled to incorporate Black and brown entrepreneurs into its recreational market since it kicked off in December 2019, nor in the medical market, which started in 2016, based on a December survey conducted by the state marijuana regulatory agency. About 3.8% of the existing licensed recreational cannabis businesses have Black ownership stake, and 1.5% have Hispanic ownership. Black and Hispanic communities make up 19% and 5.3% of Michigan's population, respectively, based on the U.S. Census estimates. So once again, Black and Hispanic communities make up, let's say, a quarter. It's about 24%, a little bit over 24%. I would say that the dispensaries, that the facilities, at least 24% of them should be going to Black and Latino owned businesses, right? And you could say that, at least for the Black community, this is part of reparations. You could say that the minority community has been affected by the war on drugs that's been raging since the 80s, disproportionately than white communities. And if we don't do something like stating a certain group, a certain amount of dispensaries and growth facilities need to be owned by people who just aren't white, who are from these disadvantaged groups, then you're just going to have a small minority of dispensaries, of growth facilities owned by minority businesses. And that's not right. And that's not right. All right, that's my radical thought. Tell me I'm wrong, everyone. Brain bug. Fake news. There's no way cops in Michigan received training. Oh, brain bug. Brain bug. Too true. I like that. Very funny. Are religious people really less smart on average than atheists? Well, that's a good question. I've seen a lot of atheists who could be, not too smart. And, this is the thing that I've always said about atheists is that, if you consider God to be, or God believed to be some kind of cognitive fallacy, right? Of some kind of cognitive fallacy, then atheism just, gives you, is insurance against that particular cognitive fallacy. It makes you bulletproof against this cognitive fallacy called God. That doesn't mean, though, that just because you're an atheist doesn't mean you're going to fall into these other traps, other logical fallacies, other false beliefs. But it's something that you can test empirically. I'm not going to get into this. I see simply seculars. I will say that Stephen Fry, has anyone seen the Stephen Fry conversation with Jordan Peterson? It's like a 2-hour conversation on Peterson's YouTube channel. It's something I want to see. All right, let's talk about marijuana and see if there's anything going up here in the chat about pot and Flint. All right. Here we go. Okay, I'm caught up with the chat, everyone. I'm caught up with the chat. Well, this is interesting, and I think Blazing Wizard Pope is spot on with us. I would not say that religious people are less smart than atheists, but in general, the higher educated people are, the less religious they are. And I like how you put qualifiers in there, Blazing Wizard Pope. And I think that's a sign of intelligence, to tell you the truth, and education. That, you say, well, in general, right? There are exceptions to the rules. Of course, there are some highly intelligent religious people. Like Sam Harris says, our minds seem to be like these, like card catalogs, right? You remember card catalogs from back in the day? And each little draw can have a little bit of crazy. You could have a little bit of crazy in there, and it doesn't affect too much the rest of the card catalog. I think that's what Sam Harris would say. All right, so are we going to do halftime show? Let's do halftime show, everyone.
Have you heard of warriors of virtue? Against not quite well received. About humanoid kung fu kangaroo monsters that represent Taoist beliefs. It was written by some doctors in their first attempt to write anything in their lives, and in it, a boy helps the kangaroos fight many villains, but only the female ones brutally die. It's that classic tale of boy falls in sewer hole and becomes friends with mutant marsupials, based on ancient text by a Chinese man with a soundtrack composed by an Irish band.
I dimly remember a movie. Never saw it, but I remember hearing about a movie about mutant kangaroos. It seemed to me like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ripoff. Instead of mutant turtles living in the sewers, there are these mutant kangaroos. All right. Least when I was an Orthodox Jew, I literally had to shut my mind off and just go with the fables. Yeah, I remember that. That dude is really funny. He is. I appreciate how he's able to put these funny little stories into song. Well, Sam Harris, man, he is so right on some things, and other things he is just so not right on. I will still listen to his podcast when he has a good guest. That's what I'll do. There are other people, other podcasters, and I'm going to start talking about people that I just can't listen to anymore, because most of what comes out of their mouth is just ridiculous. All right, so you want to talk about unemployment claims? And here in the States, that kind of matters, right? It matters because we're always keeping one eye on the midterm elections. And generally, if people are happy, then they're not going to vote for the other team, right? If Joe Biden, and let's face it, Democrats in general are better with the economy. This is one of the myths that I think we need to dispel amongst our, if you're living here in the States. or if you're communicating with people in the States, there's this myth that Republicans are better with the economy than Democrats are. And time and time again, that's not true. What Republicans are willing to do is to give really rich people tax cuts and masquerade that as the fact that they care for you. That's not true. Let's look at what's going on with the unemployment rate right now, everyone. I'm going to share a video.
The number of Americans filing for unemployment reached the lowest level since the onset of the pandemic. According to a Department of Labor report released Thursday, 444,000 Americans made initial unemployment claims last week. That's a decrease of 34,000 from the week prior. Meanwhile, many states are in the process of ending several unemployment assistance programs. That includes a federal program that provides $300 a week to jobless people on top of their state unemployment aid. Associated Press reporter Christopher Rugaber joins me now from Washington. Christopher, why are the jobless claims so low? It's actually near pre-pandemic lows. And do you expect that these numbers will continue to decrease?
Yes, well, hopefully, we hope so, and I think they will. I mean, they could go lower. In a healthy economy, you would expect them to be closer to 250, 300,000. So there's still a little way to go. Of course, we've come down a lot from the real highs at the beginning of the pandemic when they were in the millions. And then as recently as January, you were seeing about 900,000 people a week requesting unemployment. So we definitely are still, we're certainly far down from that. And so that's all good. Presumably, companies are laying fewer people off, which is what you would expect. You know, we are seeing more advertising for jobs. Businesses want to hire, so they ought to be cutting fewer workers. And I think that's the main reason you see these numbers coming down. And there's every reason to expect that it should continue to decline.
Well, the American Rescue Plan mandates that $300 be sent to the unemployed every week until September 6th, but you report that 22 states now plan to start blocking those payments in June. Tell us more about why states are taking this action and how the residents in these states are reacting.
Well, a lot of them are taking this action, particularly after the last jobs report a few weeks ago when the government reported that.
You know, it's difficult to when to stop these pieces, right? Yes, there are people who don't want to go back to slave wages. Yes, there are people who don't want to be working five. You know, how many? Like at one point, I was working 3 jobs. Everyone, I was working 2 overnight jobs, and I was also a driver. You know, ferrying people back and forth from the airport and such like that. If people have a choice between working at a slave wage job and getting unemployment, then of course they're going to pick unemployment because that's the rational choice.
And only about 266,000 jobs were created in April, which is normally not a bad number, but after the pandemic, and as we recover from the pandemic, that's a lot fewer than we want. We're still 8 million jobs short of where we were before the pandemic intensified over a year ago. So, and we are at record levels of job openings. Companies are certainly advertising a lot of jobs. And so that's created a sense, I think, among certainly many business owners and business executives that the extra 300 is discouraging people from taking work. And that's, you know, certainly controversial among many economists, but it's true that if you made, say, $32,000 or less at your previous job, you might be making more at unemployment, according to an analysis by Bank of America. So there's a concern that it's discouraging people from taking jobs. I mean, there are other issues out there. Certainly, many people are worried about their health, worried about catching the virus still, particularly if they're not vaccinated. And so that's perhaps one reason people are not headed back to work. But you see mostly Republican governors in these 22 states, or they're all Republican governors, who have decided to cut off the 300 in an effort they believe to encourage more people to go back and take jobs.
And you also reported that states are ending other aid programs. Christopher, tell us something about those programs. Why are those being stopped?
Well, there's two main other ones. There's one that was both were created last year when the pandemic first hit the United States last spring, and the first one is a program that covers gig workers and contractors and self-employed people, and that's a.
All right, so that's not going to tell us. The rest of the video isn't going to tell us anything we don't already know. The things are getting back to quote-unquote normal, and the thing is, normal was pretty shitty to begin with. Things are pretty shitty to begin with. People working low-wage jobs, had to work multiple jobs, not get health insurance, and now things are back to normal again. And if anything, the Republican governors are helping things get back to normal again and helping to get their serfs, to keep them back, to put them in their place, basically, everyone. Jessi Bear. Glad to see that you're here, Jessi Bear. Remember Sammy Jenkins. Okay. I'm going to read what he had to say, what he has to say, and then we're going to talk about serfdom for a minute. People have gone soft. In my day, we paid our boss just for the right to go to work. Yes. So back in medieval times in Europe, that you would work the land of your lord, right? Serfs, everyday people would work the land, and then they would give a portion of their land, of their grain, of their crops, of whatever they made, to the Lord. So in effect, you were actually paying your boss for the pleasure of work, right? And I'll have to tell you something. With the way that American workers get paid and how we don't have worker protections, these are just themes that we've been talking about for the last year or so on this channel. We are paying our bosses for the pleasure of working. That's what we are. We are paying with our flesh. We are paying with our time. We are paying with not seeing our children. For those of us who have children, we don't see our children because we're working these crazy jobs, low-wage jobs. So we do pay our bosses to work. All right. Yeah, exactly. How many people can't work because schools are not operating normally still? And that's true. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And there's been a variety of different studies news stories about this, is that women have been saddled with a burden more than men, because unfortunately, due to the nature of our society, women are still considered to be the ones to be the primary caregivers of the children. And so they are the ones who've really had to drop out of the workforce to take care of the kids at home because schools aren't open. All right. Tackle landlords next to Andy. All right. Let's go to what's our last story? Yeah, is this the last story? This is our last story. Once again, I want to remind everyone, 45 minutes. That's what I have for the after party after show today, from 10 to 10:45, because I have to go to work. They're giving me more hours, which I'm not complaining about. So what's the last story? Oh, Trump and the grand jury. Will rule of law succeed where Congress failed and hold Trump accountable? If the grand jury goes against him, which it will, Trump will be the first former U.S. president charged with a crime. I am willing to. All right. Snap poll, everyone. Grand jury, New York. Who thinks that Trump is going to be charged with a crime? Raise your hand. All right. I'm going to try to really look hard to see who's raising their hand. I think he's going to be charged with a crime. Whether or not he's going to be convicted, I don't know. But I think he's going to be charged with a crime, at the very least. Hey, what's up, Wild Eden? Glad to see that you're here. Talk to Mordecai. Lock him up. Lock him up. Throw away the key. We had a big discussion yesterday on the after party after show about capital punishment and quote unquote humane ways of if you were going to have executions, which I'm against. And I think most of us here are against against executions. What's the most humane way? And, I'll say this, I'm against the death penalty. But Trump, I know we shouldn't have the death penalty microphone. I know we shouldn't have the death penalty. But for Trump, for the man who helped orchestrate the disaster, his COVID response disaster, and in the January 6th, I'm strangling the microphone right now, and the January 6th insurrection, would he be deserving of the death penalty? Maybe in a perfect world. All right. So Ox says no. He will not be charged with a crime. All right. He should be charged with a crime. That's right. That's right. He should be. I think the grand jury, I think the way how grand juries work is that it's highly probable. And I don't think he's going to go to prison either, to tell you the truth. But I think he will be charged with a crime. But let's go on with the story. The link's in the description, everyone. Standing in court, the former president pleaded not guilty to charges of financial crimes that he insists are part of a politically motivated witch hunt. And Jacob Zuma, once the populist leader of South Africa, cut a humbled figure on Wednesday and offered a potential glimpse of America's future. A similar fate for Donald Trump became significantly more likely when reports that the New York prosecutors have convened a grand jury to decide whether to indict him on criminal charges. The jurists will examine evidence gathered during the Manhattan District Attorney's 2-year investigation into the former president's business dealings and alleged hush money payments to women in his behalf. So the prosecutor brings the grand jury together, and I would say that person feels like they have a good case. Biden and his attorney general, Merrick Garland, will be sure to stay as far away from the case as possible to avoid any hint of political interference. If the jury goes against Trump, he will be the first former U.S. president charged with a crime. This would surely produce the trial of the century, a fittingly Trumpian spectacle dominating every screen. Here's a thought. And once again, we discussed in the chat, would Trump want to be charged and would Trump want to have a publicized trial? Would that actually help the Trump brand? Him screaming witch hunt and him dominating the news cycle? Another interesting question. Neil Katyal, former acting solicitor general, told the MSNBC network, "I think it's a potential sign that it looks like Donald Trump is moving on from the presidency to his next turn on TV, which is as a defendant. A criminal conviction and jail sentence would be seen by America's admirers as evidence of the rule of law and by its detractors as a vindictive pursuit of a former leader reminiscent of a failing state." Well, to tell you the truth, there is more than enough data to show that Donald J. Trump, if left in power, would have turned America into a true failed state. I think the January 6th insurrection is kind of like the proof in the pudding. A Trump 2024 election campaign depends on numerous variables: his age, he turns 75 next month, the lure of the golf course, how Republicans fare in the 2022 midterm elections, whether Republicans produce a viable alternative, and how Biden's economy performs. But the grand jury could scuttle it before it begins. Scuttling it. In America, anything is possible. 4 or 5 years from now, Trump might be back in the White House, or he might be in prison. Only the brave or foolhardy would bet, which I would agree with that. I do believe that he is going to be charged. And if he is charged, if there is a public trial, he is going to dominate the news cycle for months. And that may help him in 2024, everyone. Maybe. Let's see how the chat's doing. If Trump goes to jail, the Secret Service would still have to provide him with a security detail in prison. So some of the Secret Service would be serving time with him. You know, Dave, I have to tell you something. That would be a great Netflix original series about 2 Secret Service agents who have to guard a former president in jail. Why is that not being written right now? Once again, Netflix series, 2 secret agents having to guard a former president in jail. I think that's hilarious. Well, Mighty Mouse, you are correct. Trump will do anything that gets him attention. If he does get charged, if he does go on trial, he'll look at that as a plus in some ways. He'll try to spin it as a plus. Thank you, Blazing. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. There must be a song. Someone must have a song like that, right? Rest of his life in prison. Indeed. Yeah, that would be too good for him. Let's see what else we have. Don't take out your anger on your poor mic. I'll try not to. It's my only really good mic, and it's on loan from a friend of mine too. Oh, thank you once again, Blazing Wizard Pope. I'm just caught up in the whole giddiness of Trump going on trial. I didn't thank you for the 20 Denmark kroners. Is that what they're called? I think that's what they're called. I don't know. Tara and Feather Donnie. Yeah, I would. Yeah. A little inhumane, maybe a little inhumane, but Andy, write it. It would be hilarious, right? It would be. It'd be a good table read too. You just get a bunch of actors together and just read the script. That alone would be hilarious. Yes, I'm happy about the mic too, to tell you the truth. I think they should make it a private trial with updates from reporters outside the room so he's not on camera. I think that's a good point, B. That way he wouldn't be able to energize his crazy base. And let's face it, the Republican Party, if we've seen nothing else, it is the Trump Party. And I'm sure, I'm sure quote unquote traditional Republicans do not want to give that man more screen time than absolutely necessary. All right. Kroner, thank you. Oh, now this is interesting. I did not know that. I knew Danish name for kroners, and that's crowns in the English name. So that's the same. Kroner is crowns. That makes sense. But thank you for clarifying that. I remember that. Let's see. Let's go. Ox. Being passive is what gave us Trump. I agree with that. He was the driving force behind an act of treason, or plural treasons. He needs to be put to a wow. All right. I think Ox and I might be nearing. You gotta. Okay, so you can say a lot about George Lucas, and I don't think we can have any discussion about the death penalty and Donald J. Trump, and Julius Caesar for that much, or Charles I. Without talking about Revenge of the Sith, where Mace Windu has Palpatine dead to rights, supposedly. I know there's discussions about whether or not the emperor, the would-be emperor, the soon-to-be emperor, was just playing possum. But Mace Windu says things like, he owns the courts, he owns the Senate, he's too dangerous, I have to kill him now. I would say, Ox and chat, that there are some extreme circumstances, like in the case of Julius Caesar, like in the case of Charles I, that dictators, despots, they just have too much political power and things need to happen to them. Physical things need to happen to them. I don't think Donald J. Trump is in that position. If he was in his second term of his presidency and securing the reins of power, having the military maybe do personal pledges to him as against to the Republic, then yes. But in jest, I was joking about the death penalty with Donald J. Trump. But I don't think he's that dangerous right now. He's no Emperor Palpatine at the end of the second act in Revenge of the Sith. But kudos once again to George Lucas. You can say what you want about those movies, that they're not the best movies in the world. But the concept of a long-term war breeding an authoritarian dictatorship that kills a republic, that is worth talking about. This is a blue, I don't know, man, some kind of Yeti mic, some kind of Yeti mic be. All right, so that's my my thoughts about Revenge of the Sith, about the prequels, and about whether or not Donald J. Trump is guilty of capital crimes and worthy of the death penalty. There we go, everyone. Okay. So hey, that was quite a digression, wasn't it? Let's do something funny. Let's put a bow on the show.
So I read on the internet that cats get on your laptop because they're mirroring you, and so if you get them their own laptop, they'll leave you alone. And look at this little businessman!
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I know that our cat Biscuit has a tendency of interfering with the girlfriend's work, because I'm off during the day. Once I'm done here, everyone, I'm gone. Once I'm done with the after party after show, which goes from today 10 to 10:45, I'm gone for the day. So it's just a cat and the girlfriend here in the house. And the cat does have a tendency of interfering with the girlfriend's typity computer activities. So maybe we should give Biscuit her own little computer. I don't know. Meow, indeed. I now need a tiny laptop. Exactly. Let's see. Okay. Everyone has a Blue Yeti. I have a Blue Yeti, but I've heard a cheaper one that other people like. Okay. That's good, Dave. Thanks for helping out there. All right. So this is the end of the show. How about that? Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for contributing, Blazing. I live for the day that I just get rid of all the ads and just live on patrons, and not live on, but at least the show runs on just patronage and YouTube membership, and then I can just get rid of all these freaking ads. That's what I would like, to tell you the truth. I'm thinking, what, $10 an hour? $10 an hour for me to do that? That's only like the show Monday through Friday, 2 hours a day, 10 days, 10 hours a week. If I could do like even a minimum of like $10 an hour, which of course is under minimum wage, by the way, I would just get rid of all the freaking ads. But that's me. All right. A chain gang would be there. I think that would be hilarious, to tell you the truth. I would think that having Donald J. Trump make license plates, that might be entertaining too. How you doing, Grand Farmer? How you doing? All right, so I'm going to close the show out. I'm going to show my thank you video for patrons, for members, and then I'll see y'all at 10 o'clock where we're doing the after party after show. Link is in the description. So you really thought my discussion about George Lucas, Revenge of the Sith, the microphone, you thought that was unnecessary today? That people really didn't appreciate it? No? Well, all right. I felt it was important.